I worked 6 days a week to support my boyfriend, and he repaid me with lies, disrespect, and something I'll never forget. Intro CTA USA style. If you've ever been used, lied to, or taken for granted, this story is for you. Watch till the end, because trust me, it only gets worse. And if this hits you even a little, hit like and subscribe. I was 18 when I made the decision that would quietly shape the next few years of my life. At the time, it didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like love. It felt like independence. It felt like I was finally stepping into adulthood. Looking back now, it was the beginning of one of the most exhausting, one-sided relationships I've ever been in. The beginning, we had a plan. We had been dating since high school. You know, the type of relationship everyone assumes you're going to last forever. Same lunch table, same classes, same future conversations, like, we'll figure it out together. And I believed that. I really did. So when he got accepted into a college out of state, it didn't even feel like a question. I was going with him. The move, no car, no backup plan. Here's where things started getting complicated. He had college. He had a dorm option. He had structure. I had none of that. No car, no local friends, no family nearby, just him. And at the time, I didn't see that as a risk. I saw it as loyalty. The reality, I became the provider. Within weeks of moving, reality hit hard. Rent had to be paid. Groceries had to be bought. Bills didn't care about. Young love. And since he was focused on school, guess who stepped up? Me. I got a job, then another shift, then overtime. Before I knew it, I was working 6 days a week, sometimes double shifts. My daily routine, this is where it gets real. My days looked like this. Wake up early, exhausted. Make something quick to eat, usually cheap, fast, whatever we could afford. He'd still be asleep, or scrolling on his phone, or complaining about being tired from studying. I'd leave for work, spend 8 to 10 hours on my feet, deal with customers, deal with managers, deal with stress, then come home. And instead of rest, I'd cook, clean, do laundry, handle everything. The imbalance slowly creeping in. At first, I didn't mind. I told myself, he's in school. This is temporary. But slowly, little things started bothering me. Not big arguments, not explosive fights, just small moments, the kind that build up over time. Small frustrating events, building tension, the mess. I'd come home after a long shift, and the apartment would be a disaster. Dishes in the sink, clothes on the floor, trash overflowing. And he'd say, I was gonna clean later. Later never came. The food, I'd buy groceries for the week, budget carefully, stretch every dollar, and somehow snacks would disappear in a day. No asking, no consideration, just, I was hungry. The attitude, whenever I looked tired, he'd say things like, you're always in a bad mood. Not, are you okay? Not, you're working too hard. Just blame. The money, every paycheck I earned went straight into survival. Rent, bills, food. Meanwhile, he'd casually spend money on things he needed. Games, drinks, random stuff, the respect. Sometimes I'd try to talk, not fight, just talk. And he'd brush it off like, you're overthinking. That phrase started to sting more each time. The social life. He had friends. College life. Parties. I had work. Sleep. Repeat. The drinking. At first, it was casual, then more frequent. Then it became a pattern, especially at night. The feeling, the worst part, I started feeling alone while living with someone. Internal conflict. I kept asking myself, is this normal? Am I expecting too much? Maybe this is just how relationships work. Because when you're that deep in it, you don't see clearly. You adjust. You tolerate. You convince yourself. It'll get better. The night everything shifted, set up only. One night, things felt different. He had been drinking. More than usual. The air felt tense. Uncomfortable. I remember sitting there, already exhausted, already mentally drained, just wanting peace. Just one quiet night. But that's not what happened. Not even close. Cliffhanger. Stop before confrontation. That night, he said something that changed the way I saw him completely. Something I couldn't ignore. Something I couldn't unhear. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just stress anymore. This wasn't just imbalance. This was something deeper, something uglier. And what I did next was something he would never forget. The way he looked at me that night. I knew something was wrong, but I never expected what came out of his mouth next. Short CTA. If you've ever ignored red flags, this will hit hard. Keep watching. Full story continued. That night, the air felt heavy, not loud, not chaotic, just off, like something was about to snap. The confrontation begins. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, drink in hand, phone face down, room dimly lit. I remember standing near the doorway, still in my work clothes, too tired to even change. I said quietly, "Hey, can we talk?" He didn't even look at me at first, just took a slow sip and said, "About what now?" That now hit me harder than it should have. Like I was just another problem on his list. I walked in slowly, sat on the chair across from him. I just feel like things haven't been okay lately. Silence. Then a small laugh. Not a happy one. More like dismissive. "Things are fine," he said. I shook my head. "No, they're not." Detailed dialogue. Tension building. He finally looked up. Eyes slightly red. Expression. Annoyed. "Why do you always do this?" he said. "Do what?" "Make everything into a problem." I felt my chest tighten. "I'm not making it a problem. I'm trying to fix it." He leaned back. "Fix what? You working too much. That's your choice." That one stung. My choice. I repeated. "Yes, no one told you to do all that." Something inside me shifted. Not anger yet, just clarity starting to form. "I'm doing it for us," I said. He rolled his eyes. "There is no us like that. I'm in school. You're working. That's just how it is." The moment it escalates, I took a deep breath.
Tried to stay calm. "Okay, but can you at least meet me halfway? Like, help out more? Be more." Before I could finish, he cut me off. "Oh my God, here we go." That tone. Sharp. Mocking. Then, he started talking. At first, it was just complaining. About stress. About school. About how hard his life was. And I listened. Even then, I listened. Because that's what I always did. But then, it shifted. The line he crossed. He started talking about my family. Casually at first. Then, not so casually. He mentioned a family member of mine. Someone who had recently come out. And the way he said it wasn't just ignorant. It was cruel. Mocking. Disrespectful. I froze. "Stop," I said immediately. He smirked. "What? Don't talk about them like that." He leaned forward slightly. "Like what?" "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking." "No, you're not," I said, voice shaking now. "And even if you were, that doesn't make it okay." The argument ignites. He laughed again. Louder this time. "You're really gonna defend that?" "That." He said that. Like my family member was something to be dismissed. "Yeah," I said firmly. "I am." His expression changed. Not amused anymore. Now irritated. "Wow," he said. "Didn't know you were that sensitive." "I'm not sensitive," I said. "I just have basic respect." And that's when things really escalated. Chaos build, first strange event. He stood up suddenly. knocked his drink slightly. Liquid spilled onto the floor. But he didn't care. Didn't even look down. Instead, he stepped closer to me. Not aggressive physically, but the energy? Uncomfortable. Too close. "You think you're better than me or something," he said. "No. Then stop acting like it." My phone buzzed. I glanced down. A message from my family. The same person he was talking about. Just a simple, "Hey, hope you're okay." That hit me hard. Because in that moment, I wasn't. Second event. Worse, emotional breakdown. I looked back up at him. And something in me just cracked. "Why are you like this?" I asked. Not yelling. Just tired. He scoffed. "Like what?" "Mean." That word hung in the air. And for a second, just a second, I thought maybe he'd realize. Maybe he'd stop. But instead, he doubled down. "Oh, I'm mean," he said. "You want to talk about mean? How about you constantly nagging me? Acting like I owe you something? I'm not saying you owe me." "Yes, you are," he snapped. "You bring up money, work, everything like I'm supposed to feel guilty." "I never said that." "You don't have to say it. It's obvious." Calls plus messages plus stress build. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Then another. My family checking in. I ignored them. I couldn't deal with that and this at the same time. My head was spinning. Heart racing. Trying to keep the conversation from completely falling apart. "Can we just calm down?" I said. "I am calm," he replied. He wasn't. Not even close. Third event. Panic level. Then, he said something that made my stomach drop. Something quieter. More controlled. Which somehow made it worse. "If you don't like it here, you can leave." Silence. I blinked. "Excuse me." "You heard me." I stared at him. After everything. After all the work. All the effort. All the sacrifices. "You're serious?" I asked. He shrugged. Took a step back. Sat down again like nothing just happened. "That's what I thought," he said. The internal collapse. In that moment, everything hit me at once. Not just the argument. Not just the words. But the realization that I had built my entire life around someone who didn't value me. My phone buzzed again. I finally looked. Missed call. Then another. Messages piling up. "Are you okay? Call me when you can. Something feels off." And they were right. Something was off. Shift in energy. I looked back at him. And for the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I didn't feel confused. I felt distant. Like I was seeing him clearly. Without excuses. Without filters. And that's when I noticed something. Something small. But important. His phone. Still face down. Right next to him. And the way he kept glancing at it. Every few seconds. Realization moment. Cliffhanger. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just an argument. This wasn't just stress. Something else was going on. Something he wasn't saying. And the scariest part? He didn't seem worried. He didn't seem defensive. He didn't even seem surprised by how things were unfolding. He didn't react. Because he already had a plan. The way he kept looking at his phone, like he was waiting for something, that's when I knew this wasn't just a fight anymore. Short CTA. Stay till the end, because this is where everything starts falling apart. Full story. Chaos expansion. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched him. Sitting there like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just told me to leave. Like I hadn't just spent months, years, holding everything together for us. The shift. Something feels off. His phone buzzed. Again. This time, he didn't ignore it. He flipped it over quickly. Too quickly. Glanced at it. Then locked it. That alone wouldn't have meant much. If it wasn't for everything else. The timing. The tension. The way he suddenly seemed alert. Not drunk anymore. Not sloppy. Focused. And that scared me more than anything. My phone started buzzing again too. Back-to-back notifications now. Calls. Messages. I stepped away slightly and checked. 3 missed calls. 5 texts. All from the same family member. Please answer. Are you okay? I don't know why, but I feel like something's wrong. Call me now. My stomach tightened. It felt like everything was closing in at once. I walked into the kitchen. Needed space. Needed air. My hands were shaking as I called back. They answered immediately. Hello? I'm okay, I said quickly. But even to me, it didn't sound convincing. Are you sure? They asked. You sound off. I looked over my shoulder. He was still sitting there. But now he was watching me. Yeah. I lowered my voice. I'll call you later, okay? Something's wrong, they said firmly. I can feel it. That sentence stuck with me, because I was starting to feel it too. Confusion deepens. When I hung up, the apartment felt different. Same walls, same furniture, but the energy completely changed. I walked back in slowly. He didn't say anything, just stared. What? I asked. He shrugged. Nothing. But it wasn't nothing. You can feel when it's not nothing. Reality starts shifting. I started noticing little things. Things I had ignored before. His phone was never out of reach now. Even when he stood up, he took it. He kept checking the time. Over and over. At one point, he went into the bathroom, locked the door. That alone wasn't weird. But then, he stayed in there. For a long time. And I could hear it. Muffled voice. Talking. Secret call. First major spike. At first, I told myself, maybe he's just scrolling videos. But then I heard it clearly. Yeah, she's still here. My heart dropped. Silence. Then again. Just wait. Wait for what? I stepped closer to the door. Not making noise. Trying to hear more. I told you, just give me a minute. Then silence. Water running. Door unlocking. I backed away quickly. Acted like I hadn't heard anything. When he came out, he looked calm. Too calm. Panic starts building. Who were you talking to? I asked. Trying to sound casual. No one, he said instantly. Too fast. I heard you, I said. He paused. Just for a second. Then shrugged. Friend. Which friend? He rolled his eyes. Why does it matter? Because it does matter. But I didn't say that. Not yet. Unexpected consequences begin. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't family. It was someone I barely talked to. A mutual connection. Message. Hey, is everything okay with you guys? My chest tightened. Why would they ask that? I replied. Yeah, why? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, just hearing stuff. Hearing what? I looked up at him again. And suddenly, that earlier realization came rushing back. This wasn't just happening inside this apartment anymore. Social damage starts. More messages came in. Random people. Not close friends. Not people who usually checked in. Hope you're good. Didn't expect that from you. You okay? Wait, didn't expect what from me? My breathing got heavier. Faster. I opened one message. Then another. Pieces started forming. But not clearly. Not yet. My thoughts were racing now. Trying to connect everything. The phone. The call. The way he said, she's still here. The messages. The sudden attention. Something was happening. Behind my back. In real time. And I didn't know what it was. Direct confrontation. Round 2. I looked at him. Really looked this time. What did you tell people? I asked. He frowned slightly. What are you talking about? My phone is blowing up, I said. People are messaging me, asking weird things. He shrugged. Maybe they're bored. That answer made everything worse. Stop, I said. Stop what? acting like nothing's happening. He stood up again, slowly. "You're overthinking," he said. That phrase again. But this time, it didn't make me doubt myself. It made me more certain. The breaking point builds. Another message came in. This one longer. I opened it, read it once, then again, and my stomach dropped. If what he said is true, that's really messed up. I froze, looked up at him. "What did you say?" I whispered. He didn't answer immediately, just looked at me. Then, a small smile. Not a happy one, not a kind one, a knowing one. Full panic mode. My heart was pounding now. Loud, fast, uncontrollable. "What did you say?" I repeated, louder this time. He walked past me, calm, unbothered, picked up his phone, checked it, typed something, then said, "Relax." Relax? Everything in my body was screaming the opposite. Reality collapsed. I opened more messages, scrolling faster now, hands shaking, different people, same tone, same confusion, same judgment, but I still didn't have the full picture, just fragments, hints, enough to know something was wrong, but not enough to understand how wrong. Final build, realization edge. I looked around the apartment, at everything I had built, everything I had paid for, everything I had sacrificed, and suddenly, it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a trap. I looked back at him one more time, and in that moment, I wasn't just confused anymore. I wasn't just stressed. I wasn't just overwhelmed. I realized something much deeper. At first, none of it made sense, but once I started connecting the dots, I realized this wasn't random. This was planned. Short CTA. Watch closely, because this is where everything starts to make sense. Full story. I stood there, phone still in my hand, heart racing, mind trying desperately to catch up, because now it wasn't just chaos. It wasn't just confusion. It was patterns. The first connection. I went back to the messages, scrolled slower this time, carefully, like I was looking for something specific, even though I didn't know what. Same tone, different people, same assumption, not questions, not what happened, but if what he said is true, that's really messed up. I didn't think you were like that. Like they had already heard a story, a version of me that I didn't even recognize, and suddenly, his words from earlier hit differently. "If you don't like it here, you can leave." That wasn't just anger. That wasn't just frustration. That sounded like preparation. Hidden patterns start emerging. I looked up at him again. He was still calm, scrolling, typing occasionally. No panic, no confusion, no concern. That's when it hit me. He wasn't reacting, because nothing happening right now was a surprise to him. All those times, he'd suddenly turn his phone away when I walked in. I used to laugh it off. "What are you hiding?" I'd joke, and he'd reply, "Nothing, you're just nosy." I believed him, because it was easier than questioning it. Flashback number 2, the late nights. Those nights he said he was studying, but came back smelling like alcohol, acting distant, avoiding eye contact. I told myself, college is stressful. But now, it felt like something else. Flashback number 3, the random distance. There were days, he barely spoke to me. Short answers, cold tone, and then suddenly, he'd act normal again, like nothing happened. That inconsistency wasn't random, it was controlled. Realization deepens. My breathing slowed, not because I was calm, but because something colder was taking over. Understanding. I looked back at my phone, opened one of the longer messages again, read it carefully this time, line by line, and that's when I noticed it. They weren't just reacting, they were referencing details, things I hadn't told anyone, things only he would know. The second connection. I walked slowly toward him. Every step felt heavier, more real. What exactly did you tell people? I asked. He didn't look up. Why do you keep asking that? Because they're not guessing, I said quietly. They're repeating things. That made him pause, just for a second. Then he locked his phone, looked at me. You're being dramatic, he said. That word again. But now, it didn't land the same. Because now I knew. Fear plus regret collide. A wave of realization hit me so hard. I actually had to steady myself. All those months, all that trust, all that effort, and I had ignored every sign. Not because I was stupid, but because I didn't want to see it. And now? It was too late to ignore. Hint of his plan. I looked at his phone again. Then at him. You've been talking about me, I said. Not a question. A statement. Silence. You've been telling people things before tonight. He didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it either. Just watched me. And that silence? That was louder than anything he could have said. The final pieces start falling into place. I stepped back, mind racing faster now, but clearer, sharper. The call in the bathroom. She's still here. The messages, already forming opinions. His calm behavior, like everything was on schedule. And then, one last memory surfaced. Flashback number 4. The warning I ignored. A while ago, someone had messaged me, randomly, out of nowhere. Just be careful. No context, no explanation. I had laughed it off, thought it was weird, ignored it. Now, it didn't feel random anymore. The emotional drop, my chest tightened, not from panic this time, but from something heavier, regret, because deep down, I knew something had been wrong for a long time, and I stayed anyway. Final build, high tension moment. I looked at him one more time, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see my boyfriend. I saw someone calculating, someone patient, someone who had been steps ahead of me this entire time. Why? I asked quietly. He didn't answer, just picked up his phone again, typed something, and that's when my phone buzzed. Another message. I opened it slowly, heart pounding, read the first line, and everything inside me went cold. When I read that message, I finally understood. This wasn't just a breakup, this was a setup. Short CTA. Stay till the end because the truth is worse than you think. Final part. Full story, reveal plus ending. My hands were shaking. Not slightly, not nervously, violently, as I stared at my phone, reading that message again, and again, and again. If what you said about her family is true, that's honestly disgusting. My breath caught. I didn't say that. I never said that. I felt the room tilt, like reality itself had shifted under my feet. Slowly, I looked up at him, and this time, I didn't ask. I knew. The full realization hit. You told them it was me, I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine anymore. He didn't respond immediately, just leaned back, watched me, and then, that same small smile. That was it. That was the confirmation. Everything connect. All at once. Every piece snapped into place. The messages, the timing, the calmness, the phone calls, the argument tonight? That wasn't the start. It was the trigger. Everything else had already been set in motion. Flashback, the real plan. Now I could see it clearly. Weeks, maybe months. He had been talking, planting ideas, telling stories, twisting small moments, turning normal conversations into something darker, building a version of me that didn't exist. And when tonight happened, he didn't need to explain anything. He just let it unfold. The confrontation, final round. Why? I asked again. This time, stronger. He sighed, like I was the one being exhausting. Because, he said calmly, I knew this was coming. My heart dropped. What does that even mean? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You've been unhappy for a while, he said. You just didn't realize it yet. That almost sounded reasonable. Almost. And, I said. And I'm not stupid, he continued. I knew eventually you'd leave. The words hit, but not the way he expected. Because I realized something. He wasn't reacting emotionally. He was explaining a strategy. The twist. He was prepared. So you just... I struggled to find the words. What, decided to ruin me first? He shrugged. I protected myself. Protected. That word echoed in my head. By lying, I said. He tilted his head slightly. By making sure people knew my side. Your side? There was no side, I said. You made one. He didn't argue that. Didn't deny it. Just said. That's how things work. Chaos peak, everything collapses. My phone kept buzzing. Non-stop now. Messages stacking. Notifications piling. I didn't even need to open them anymore. I already knew what they said. Judgment. Distance. Doubt. And the worst part? People believe the first story they hear. Emotional breakdown. I sat down slowly. Like my body finally gave up holding everything together. All those months. All that effort. All that sacrifice. And this is how it ended? Not with a fight. Not with closure. But with a narrative. I didn't even get to tell. Final realization. You planned this, I said quietly. He didn't answer. Because he didn't need to. The silence said everything. Acceptance starts. And in that moment, something inside me shifted again. Not anger. Not panic. Clarity. Cold, painful clarity. I wasn't going to win this. Not tonight. Not like this. Because he had already moved first. The exit. I stood up. Slowly. Walked past him. No yelling. No dramatic scene. Because there was nothing left to say. At the door. I paused. Not because I was unsure. But because I finally understood something. Final inner monologue. Sometimes, the person you're fighting isn't fighting you in the same moment. They've been fighting you. Quietly. Strategically. Long before you even realize there was a battle. And by the time you see it, they're already done. Aftermath, time skip. I left that night. Got picked up. Didn't look back. The messages didn't stop for days. Then weeks. Then slowly faded. Some people never spoke to me again. Some eventually understood. Most just moved on. And him? I heard things. Saw glimpses. But I never went back. Never reached out. Because I didn't need closure from him anymore. Final lesson. What I learned from that experience wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about winning. It was about awareness. About recognizing red flags early. About not ignoring discomfort. About not building your life around someone who sees relationships as strategy. And most importantly, understanding that sometimes, walking away quietly, is the only real power you have left. Ending, silence returns. No more messages. No more chaos. No more confusion. Just silence. And for the first time in a long time, that silence felt peaceful. Final CTA. If this story hit you, drop a comment. What would you have done? And if you've ever ignored red flags like this, you're not alone. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real stories like this.